Hi, everybody. This is Donna, and I have a friend with me today, and her name is Christina with K.
Hey
That's what we call
everyone.
her. So, welcome to Caring for Caregivers. We have a new producer, Joe. Thanks, Joe. He is working on it. He didn't give us very much time to pop in, but that's okay. Here we are, and I just wanted to say thank you for showing up today. So, who am I? I am Donna Davis. I am one half of your Phoenix is Rising, a wellness company here in Ocala, Florida. And I am also a registered nurse. And I work at the hospital currently with other nurses and caregivers, and my wife is a massage therapist. And what we have realized and recognized is that we need to take care of ourselves. And so this is why we're doing stuff like this and having these conversations in spaces like this that are under construction. So that's why we're still doing it. It's just worth it. And if we don't share some of the things and tools that are working for us, then others don't get a chance to say, oh man, what actually works for
Right.
me while I'm in the throes of doing this thing? Because let's face it, people still need care.
Yes.
So let me introduce my dear friend. Go ahead, take it away. Who are you and what
Hi.
do you do, honey?
Hi. Christina with the K is what I usually introduce myself as. Just because that spelling is really important. I'm a mental health therapist. I work for a community called Families First of Florida. I have a master's degree in mental health counseling. I've been a therapist for 3.5 years now. And I'm also a mother, so I've been a caregiver for a lot longer than that.
And she's a very dear friend of mine and Norma's, and we go to the same center for spiritual living,
Yes.
Ocala, together.
Wouldn't know what to do without it.
Oh my goodness, right? Okay. So we are going to go ahead and go into a centering moment just for the second so that people can drop into that space. I invite you now to just take a nice deep breath. Allowing for the breath to come easy into the body. Allowing into the body to settle deeper into your seat. Allowing for your mind to become centered upon the sound of your voice. Allowing for the ebb and flow of the breath to happen naturally, with intention. As we become aware once again of our seats and the body that we inhabit and the space that we take up. And yes, we are back. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's nice to be back.
Back into the spot.
I like
and
it
now
here.
I feel like I'm really here. Hi, Diego. Thank you so much. Thanks. Looking great. I'm going to adjust my light because I'm sitting here thinking like, I need the light. We had to switch positions. So hold on.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference.
Yay! It's just a little bit, hey, there we are. So today we're going to be talking about the aspect of care that we can do for ourselves as caregivers.
Yes.
And we use all of these tools. Me and Norma have been using these tools and talking to others about these tools and really honing in on, is this actually going to help? Because anxiety is one of the biggest things that I suffer with. And being an empath, it does not help that I chose a profession that has me dealing and being in connection with people going through serious stuff. Right? And then I tend to take it on. And then I do, and never be.
That's that whole empath thing.
Yes, that I'm a human being, not a human doing. And so I had to lean upon certain tools. And as we were traveling and doing different things and talking to different people, we found that certain tools help. Yes. And one of the things I gotta tell you was the biggest tool for me, and this is when I was much younger, I discovered this tool. And today's aspect of self-care is is therapy. Therapy. Yes. Professional help. Yes. Talking to a doctor. Talking to a therapist, mental health counselor. Talking through what's going on with you.
It's huge, and I think I'm really glad, first of all, that the stigma is starting to be lifted, that more people are starting to recognize how important mental health is. That it's not just all in your head and something you can just fix or wish away or work harder to get rid of. You know, that it's the same thing as, you know, having another physical disorder. And but as therapists, you know, and empathetic people are drawn to these types of course, we're caregivers, we're, you know, healers. It's what we're meant to do. So we're drawn to these types of jobs that we're helping other people go through those things.
Mm-hmm.
So it is you know, it's a hazard of any job that involves caretaking, that you could do too much and overextend yourself. And that's the thing, is that so many of us do. Like, so many of us are such caretakers at heart that we don't take the time to take care of ourselves, even when we need it the most. Probably especially when we need it the most.
Yeah. And a lot of it is, oh well, this person is worse off than me, so I'm just going to sacrifice myself. Even if you do a little bit of it, we're not saying go out and, you know, go on a retreat to an ashram. I mean, it's nice to be able, if you can do that, then by all means do it. But, and we're not saying that you have to be like, well, if I go to therapy now, I'm going to be on medication. And we're not saying that either. Right? What we're saying is being able to recognize with someone that this mental illness is an actual thing. It is an actual illness. For me, it's a physical illness because my mental illness comes out in physical ways. I mean, I get actual pain from my depression. And at one point, I thought I was crazy. I'm like, oh my God, this pain all over. And before I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and I'm like, it's got to be coming from somewhere. The pain's got to be coming from somewhere. I mean, I just want to figure out where it's coming from so I can fix it. Right? Is it my diet? Is my blah, 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 blah. And that's where the detective work of my doctors come in.
Yes.
And that's what they do. And these people go through years of school. Lots of scenarios.
12 years to get my master's degree, which isn't average, by the way. It's 8 for a master's degree, you know, at least.
But you took your time and through it.
And yeah, as a single mother, I had to. You know, I had to balance my life so I could survive through it. My family, what would be the point of becoming a therapist, a mental health counselor, if I lost my family along the way, or connections with my friends or those closest to me, or I lost myself? You know, what would be the point? I wouldn't have anything left to give anybody else. And that's what it comes down to, is remembering that if you want to help people, the biggest way you can do that is by helping yourself. Because if you do not help yourself, then you're just giving from empty. You don't have anything left to give. Like, you think of yourself
fumes.
As
fumes.
Exactly. You think of yourself as a water pitcher, and you have, you know, your husband's a glass, and your kids are a glass, and your, you know, your partner, your friends is glass, you're the community that you help, you know, work, all of it. Those are all glasses. And you're this pitcher, and you're just filling other people's glasses and their water and their needs and getting them met. You're going to run out of water. And if you don't stop to replenish that water in some way, you don't get it back. You start to lose yourself. So that's really, you know, there's so many different ways that you can help yourself besides just therapy. But it is a good tool in a toolbox of a nice rounded amount of self-care, especially if you're going through something that's really difficult.
And so why is this aspect of well, let me back up. No, let me ask, because then I'll tell you what my experience was with it. So why is this particular aspect been so demonized, do you think, by some people? Like, for whatever reason, we feel that therapy is just this bad thing.
So we're taught by our parents and everyone around us, and they were taught by their parents and generations back to be strong.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever culture, everybody's cultures have different viewpoints on it.
Mm-hmm.
Some that's more important than others, like some Eastern cultures, but to be strong. And strength, according to what we've been taught, is to not show you're afraid, to not break down and cry, to not admit that you're having trouble, to just bear it all with a smile on your face all the time. No one can do that.
No, because we're human beings.
Right. So I think it's just, and not only that, because these are disorders that you can't physically see. You can't touch, you can't put your hand on. All you have is, if you know the symptoms, you can recognize the symptoms. But otherwise, you just have somebody saying they're feeling something and looking like they're not doing anything because they have a hard time getting out of bed or have a hard time being around people. So maybe that could be a reason why they don't want to seek therapy. There's so many things that can hold people back. So, it looks from the outside looking in if they haven't experienced it. How many things do we have to experience before we understand, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so those two combinations of things over all these years, I think they just together, it's like, oh, that's not a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because then if it's a real thing, we have to deal with it.
Right.
Then we have to deal with those emotions. And if you don't know how to deal with those emotions and you don't know how to help your kids deal with those emotions,
then the cycle just keeps going and going and
right.
going and going. And then it seems like this generational curse is happening. When in all actuality is because whatever this thing is that triggers the cycle has not been dealt with.
Right. I posted something recently that said she didn't heal because she spent so much time pretending she wasn't hurt. Something to that effect. Yeah. And that's what happens with trauma, especially. We put it in the back of our heads. Mm-hmm. We don't want to talk about it. It's a no subject. So, because then we might have to deal with it. And if we don't know how, well, it's easier to just shut it down, except it doesn't stay down, it comes back. So
right. It's this, never-ending pit. And there's only so much can handle, but if the pit don't come out, it's gonna come out somewhere.
It's like
it's gonna build up, and it's coming out this way or the other way, but it's don't come out.
Infection. No, like if you're hurt and you just ignore this huge gash on your arm, because that's what it is. If you take some of these things that people are traumatized by, and these horrible things that we've been through, all of us have been through something. Most of us have been through something traumatic. If you put it into terms of physical that you could see, there would be huge, horrible gashes, and who knows, and if you just walked around with this huge gash on your arm and didn't get it treated, it could kill you. Mm-hmm. And it's fortunately we are starting to become more aware, and there are starting to be more resources for mental health help. So we're definitely on an upswing.
I'm telling you, I just love you so much. Thank you, girl. Well, now is when we start talking about when we can use this particular tool. Gotcha. So I'm gonna let you know. Those people who know my story, intimately, my friends, know of my mental illness. I've been very vocal about it because I feel like the more of us that can open up and say it out loud, the more that it validates people who are going through that internal struggle, and the less that a child or young person can stay in that struggle for me, if I can just share my story to kind of help pull them into the light, because others did it for me. Right? That's why I do it now. But I first encountered therapy because I was in a shelter for girls when I had the trauma with my dad and ended up in the system. So children and families got me out of the home and put me in a shelter. I was 16, almost 17. I was 3 months into the United States when that happened. Yeah, it was an interesting experience. I'll tell you, because it was illegal.
So that's so much stress.
It was a lot.
So much stress.
It was a lot. Mm-hmm. Now, when you don't understand this kind of thing, like immigration and all of that, you don't understand it because you don't have your hands on the paperwork. So I'm standing here. I have my hands on no paperwork because I'm a kid, right? And my stuff is way the heck in another state, somewhere with my aunt. So I'm like, what do I do now? You know? And I ended up in the system.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I first discovered, when I was in the shelter, they said, well, you're going to have a therapy session. And I was like, okay. And the only thing I knew about therapy is that only crazy people did it. Right? You had to be like really loco, like walking naked down the street and crazy. In Jamaica, we call them madmen. So the madman go to therapy and it helps the madman. That's what.
Like I said, certain cultures, it's a
in our
bigger
culture,
deal.
it was never like a, you know, and it's, thank goodness, getting way better in Jamaica. Now people are talking about self-care and self-love and that sort of thing. So that's really starting to come to fruition in my country. So I'm very, very excited about that. But that was the first time I ever got introduced to that idea that you would sit and talk to someone about what exactly. Because I didn't look at myself as there's something going on. For me, it was something that's in here. But none of y'all I can trust with this. Because at any moment, you're going to start asking me for papers and something that I can't produce. And so I did this and climbed right up. Wow, Space Cowboy. What's up, Wayne? How you doing, honey? Wayne's a friend of New Thought Network. He's so cool. What's up? But you know, I was in that moment of, oh no. Right. I climbed down because I thought telling my deepest, darkest, whatever is going to somehow rein in all of the terror that I have seen on TV. Right. Or in movies.
Or that's been
or have
by
been
your
told
family.
to me by family. Because I didn't understand what was going on around me. I was brand new to this whole system that was America. And I sat with this person. I didn't say anything. Not a thing. And then I did the same thing again when I finally ended up in the group home for girls. And Sherry Abercrombie, God bless you, Sherry Abercrombie, she sat and she had this look on her face. She would just smile from time to time. And I thought, what is wrong with this person? Why? Why are they just staring at me? And she said, so, how are you feeling right this second? What's going on? And I'd be like, I'm okay. I mean, I'm a teenager. I'm okay. Mm-hmm. Everything's cool. I'm handling it, you know. I got his. I didn't got it. I later found out. But when I started to speak, it's because they were willing to sit right, in the silence. Right. And sometimes mean words were said out loud to the therapist. At the therapist. You don't understand me. You're on their side. I'll show you here all kinds of stuff. But
people are in pain.
Yeah.
And just having somebody that's willing to sit and hear your pain and not judge you or not, they don't have any attachments to. They're not your family. They're not people you have to worry about hurting, or you don't have to worry about their feelings, or you know,
like
and that
the witness, like the perfect witness to.
They're in here, whatever you have to say, and it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't even matter how, because a good therapist is just going to hold that space for you, and make you feel heard. You feel heard. Just to have somebody that you don't have that emotional tie to talk to is huge.
I'm telling you. So fast forward now, I don't go to therapy on a regular basis anymore. And I had years and years of therapy, amazing individual counseling, amazing group counseling, family sessions. I mean, just, and I knew that tool was there. So when I had trauma happen in the family with my kids, I was able to tap back into that and get them into therapy. And, you know, because I knew how important it was to not be the one always for them to speak to. Because sometimes you have to be able to speak objectively without me feeling hurt. Because they always felt responsible for my pain somehow.
Think about it.
And that's what kids do.
And it's not just kids. I mean, if you love somebody and they're in front of you in pain and it's raw and open and you care about them so much, you want the pain to go away. And yeah, we think, oh, we're adults. We're supposed to be the one to do that for them. They're not supposed to do that for us. Well, they're people, just like we are. They're just miniature people that get to be regular sized people and have their own thoughts and their own feelings, and they get hurt. And sometimes it actually helps for them to know that you're in pain too. Letting yourself cry so that they know it's okay to cry, that kind of thing.
So, what I do now is I use my mentor. So instead of going to regular therapy sessions, I now use my mentor. I use my community. I have my best friends, one of them that I reach out to. And I have a lifeline that I was taught to put in place because of my therapy. Right? And so now that that's a very strong lifeline, I don't have to go back. Now, if something traumatic happens again and I need that tool again, I'll be getting back into that.
Right.
Like if I know that my stress level is getting to be too much to where all my other tools are not helping, and this one I know. Because it's like having the ship in the night, just, trying to go, you're trying every little flashlight you got, and then your therapist comes along and has that big old fog light, and helps you navigate the waters.
Yeah.
That's
what it feels like.
Yes, that's what it feels like. So it's not like they're doing it for you. They just help to shine the light.
So they're just doing it.
See a little clearer.
Because all we want to do, we all just want to be heard. We all just want to be heard. Exactly. So it meets that need. And I know myself, because the reason why I became a mental health therapist is because of how it helped me. I didn't know I had any trauma. I didn't know that all these things that happened to me when I was a child, it seemed normal to me because I knew so many other people going through it. Like it
was the only world you knew.
It was part of life. So when I got to be in my early to mid 20s, I started to realize my stress levels, it built and more responsibility. And all of a sudden I'm like not able to function as well. I'm easily have really bad anxiety and, I'm nervous and jumpy and, and I was going to school and working 2 jobs. So yeah, it's no
wonder.
I didn't even know what I wanted to go to school for at this point in time. I just knew I wanted to go to school. I discovered that I love learning. So, and then it was a lot of other things too that became really, really, really toxic. And that's the point. When because you know your life, you know how well you function, you know what you do on a daily basis, you know what you can take, and you know when you're at a point where you feel like you're drowning.
Yes.
When you feel like you're drowning, you need somebody to reach up to. And if you don't have that kind of community,
right?
If you don't have another way, solid family connections, having a tribe is huge. Sometimes it's still not enough if you're going through something really traumatic, though. It's okay to ask for help, and you'll know because you'll have this constant thought of, I can't do this anymore. I'm drowning. I don't know how much longer I can take this. Those kind of feelings, and they don't dissipate even when you do the things you would normally do to deal with them. That's the time to get some other kind of help. There are many different ways to get help, yes, especially now with the internet. You can Google a lot too, but if you really need if you know what it feels like to have someone hear you, then you realize that there's not really anything that can compare to feeling heard.
Yeah, and that one-on-one. All the world is made of faith and trust, and she does. She goes by Pixie sometimes.
Yes. I don't know if you can see the sparkles, but I don't ever not have them. Yes, I'm a self-proclaimed partial fairy, so half fairy, half human person.
That's awesome.
So, and I work a lot with kids too, so it's really nice because it's fun and it's given me permission to play on that more and be more fun in all parts of my life, because as we know, play is a very healthy thing.
Yes,
to let yourself do. So I get to do arts and crafts and play games, and the kids all love it that I'm a fairy and I have my sparkles and
I think that's awesome. So I'm going to say that we can go ahead and take a break. I know that Joe has a commercial for y'all. Take it away, Joe.
So, Kathy, what's the experience been like so far here at the Transformation Vacation?
To say transformational is not quite big enough. It has been so amazing. The people have been amazing. The food, the beaches are exactly what you expect them to be. You can see through it. I went snorkeling and saw starfish and all kinds of beautiful fish. It's been amazing. And most importantly, everyone who said yes to this has just been inspirational and really just a connection has been made that will last a lifetime.
It will. It
Yes.
so will.
It will.
So I can't wait to see y'all next time. Come on to Jamaica. Come on. Don't forget. Yum on.
New Thought Radio, music from all your favorite New Thought artists. From Jamie Lula, Karen Drucker, Gary Lynn Floyd, Ricky Byers, Daniel Namod, Eddie Watkins Jr., and many, many more. 24/7 New Thought Radio. Positively inspiring.
Hi, we're back. Oh my goodness. Hey, Joe, that was awesome, man. I love that commercial.
Good commercial.
That was so good. And we'll be showing that. Oh my goodness, me and Kathy. It was so cool. Okay, so we ended up going down. We we wanted to go to the 7 Mile Beach in the Grill, and we had that on our list to do, and we ended up not doing it. So we ended up stopping. I said, I have to see the beach, just the beach. And so we decided to go into the water because everybody was like, no, I like the resort, man, the cliffside. I was like, you guys are killing me.
I need the water.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
it was, you're in the water and it's just incredible. Every single day, just waking up to the ocean right there, and the sound lapping against the, oh my gosh, girl. Transformation vacation, y'all. You will be transformed. Mind, body, and spirit. And it is vacation. You just kind of hang out, and just whatever you feel like doing in that moment, that's what we do. And we do it together. Aww,
Sounds so amazing.
Shiny spiritual human. That's us. Yes.
Cindy says we're the sparkly people.
We're
the
sparkly people. Yes, shiny, shiny. Yes, absolutely. So, what is next on our agenda here? All right, we talked about when we have ever used this tool. When did you use the tool? We talked about that.
I started, I was about 24, 25 when I started therapy. And I actually didn't go to a therapist. I actually started by checking myself into a mental health facility that used to be here in Ocala. That's actually where the Vines is now. There was another place before it. And it was really nice. Like it was so nice to get to take a break away from everything. Like I didn't, you know how you just sometimes you just want to escape. Like everything feels overwhelming and you want to run away. And when you're in that kind of mental state, when you feel that way all the time, it comes out in really negative ways. You start taking on negative coping mechanisms and doing all kinds of things that aren't healthy for you. So, when I just got to go check myself in and put a list of who I wanted to talk to and who I didn't want to talk to. I didn't, and I told them where I worked, and they just faxed medical stuff for me, and I went to therapy, and I'd never experienced anything like it. I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. I was raised where God is what is supposed to help you, and nothing else. I don't know if it's still like that because it's been a long time, but that's the way it was, when I was growing. And so it never occurred to me to get the help until it was so bad that I knew it wasn't even safe anymore until I got the help. But what I found there was a therapist that really, really connected to, and it felt like he really heard me. And he had his own outside office. So I saw him out for the next 3 years, and I actually even had to check back at myself in once. I thought I was going backwards, but it was one of those times where you pull out all that stuff, and I didn't have the coping mechanisms to deal with it. So it's really important that you learn coping skills to deal with your trauma, so you can talk through it, and so that when your anxiety spikes, you have tools like the deep breathing we did, like being present in your physical body and paying attention to your surroundings. And that's what mindfulness is just being mindful of everything physically around you, because it centers you in your physical body and it pulls you out of that headspace. So those kind of coping skills, the more you use them, the better they get. And I had to do that. So, that's one of the things you get about therapy too.
My imaginary friends think I'm special. You know what? I think you're special too.
Your real friends think you're special. Probably because you are.
Yeah, exactly. My imaginary friends think I'm special too. So examples of when to use the tool. So let's say we have a situation now. Here I am. I'm a nurse on the floor. I am going through my, third shift of the week. And I am so stressed out because of what I've gone through for the 3 shifts. I am so completely like, oh God, I can't wait to get to the end of these 3 freaking days. And here I come at home dealing with a screaming baby. How do I then say, I'm going to need to have a therapy appointment? Right. So I'm saying that for me, therapy would be like a doctor's appointment.
Right.
You make it on your calendar and say it's my doctor's appointment. Same thing with a dentist appointment. Like, we don't seem to think that we have to feel bad. We actually congratulate ourselves and we actually make a dental appointment. Hey, or we actually, I'm on top of my blood work. I went in and I did my follow-up.
It's self-care.
Yeah. We are very excited about that.
Yes.
But, I don't know. I didn't make my therapy appointment. I mean, do you think people who don't have that level of stress in their life, as far as caregiving is concerned, let's say that nurse comes home and she's coming home to the most wonderful, supportive spouse. She's got, butterflies and rainbows right there at her feet. You are a goddess like I am. I mean, my home is awesome. Do I need therapy?
Right. So yeah, when do we know when that is?
When to use the tool.
Right. Well, I touched on it a little bit earlier, like when you feel that overwhelm. I can't do this. How many times a day do you think that? How many times a day do you think that daily? Even if it's just once a day, is it every day? Because then, and do you have
this anymore?
Right. I can't take this anymore. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't want to live this way. There's so many different versions of that. And then when is the last time you talked to somebody about what you're feeling? When is the last time?
Do you have a mentor?
Do you have somebody
you tried?
Are you willing to pick up the phone and call them? Because maybe that's what you need.
Okay, let me clarify.
First.
Do you have a tribe that has the tools to help?
There you go. See, for us, we have a really awesome spiritual tribe.
Right. Because, yes, I can say a mentor, like a best friend could be a mentor. Okay.
Yes.
But if that friend does not have the tools or something to help, then it just becomes a girls' night of you at my pretty party with me.
Right. Or, and
there's nothing wrong with that kind of stuff,
right?
Too. But it doesn't feel like there's an actual way to get out of the I'm done with this.
Don't we ever get tired of talking to our friends about what bothers us or what bothers them over and over and over again?
So you're
feeling
just keep
like
repeating the cycle.
This is a cycle. This is a vicious cycle, and I'm tired of it. Like it's not even helping anymore. Like I used to be able to chill and have a glass of wine with my friends, and it would be okay. I would feel better afterwards. Do you still get that feeling? Do you have anything that gives you that?
I feel like I'm replenished.
Or hope. Anything that gives you hope. Do you have something to pull hope from? It doesn't have to be in the form of therapy. But if you don't have it in other places, it's a really good place to go.
And it's a really good place to start.
It really is.
Because sometimes you're like, okay, so I may have this tool and this tool and this tool, but you have no clue where the starting point is.
Right, because like I said, they can help you learn coping skills. They can help you organize your time. There's so many things that a therapist, it's not like just somebody, I think people have this impression of like psychotherapy from Freud and all that, the couch, and they're just sitting there and they're just like on their clipboard. And that
judging me the whole time.
Right, looking at me and you're wondering what they're thinking. And it's nothing like that when you get into actual therapy. You know, I explain to people right away, like, look, I'm going to be making notes. They're just so I can remember when I go over this later, so I can figure out how to help you best. You are welcome to look at my notes anytime. Here they are. You probably won't be able to read them because I scribble fast when a friend listens. So, there was a question.
That was, okay, so can you guys put that back up there? I want to kind of, So Bonnie Gonzalez says, how about not canceling that appointment once it's made? When people feel stressed and overwhelmed, those appointments are the first to get canceled.
Right.
That the self-care appointments, I don't have time to do blah, blah, blah.
I don't. I need this, but I don't have time to.
I really, really, really need that massage, but I just don't have time. I just can't take this break. Or I really need to have that counsel session. I just don't have time to sit still to even talk about the fact that I don't have the time.
Right.
That's such a good point. Thank you so much, Bonnie.
Seriously.
Because that's when it's so much more important.
That's when you need it the most.
That's when you need it the most.
When you need it the most is when you actually made this first step. It's a big step. You made the first step to make that appointment because you knew you needed it. So don't cancel it.
Cancel it.
You know,
put it, check it, change it. Yes. Don't cancel.
Put reminders, multiple reminders on your phone if you are the kind of person that's not used to having people out of appointments. Or is it necessarily the best at, I have to put everything in my calendar. If I don't put it there, it doesn't happen. So, you know, that's what you got to do.
I'm squirrely.
It's part of self-care. I mean, really, it's part of self-care to make sure that you can get to the places that help you. And that starts there. So, it's a really good place to start, but it's very important that you keep that appointment. At least give it the chance to, you get into an office and look at another person and go, oh, okay, I can actually talk about how I'm actually feeling.
Yes.
I don't have to say, oh, I'm okay, because I don't have time to talk about how I'm not okay. I am. Mm-hmm. Which, you're afraid if somebody says, I'm not okay, they're going to say why. And then what am I going to say? No, I don't want to deal with that right now. I don't even want to think about that. Why do I want to tell them? You have these kind of thoughts. That's what a therapist is there for. That's what they do. And most of them, all the ones I've met anyways, they do it because they love to help people. Because they're the light bearers you were talking about, that shining that light, that I know this is what I was born to do. I know this is my purpose. I know this is why I'm here. Because all I ever want to do is be that person that when you're in that deep dark hole, you can't see the light, that I'm that person that can describe the light for you and tell you it's there, and then hold out a hand, and when you're ready to take that hand, I can pull you up so you can see the light for yourself.
That's why I love being a practitioner. That is why I love being a practitioner. Because I love being able to drop into that space. Because that whole drop-in and connection, that first step of treatment, that recognition of the allness. Once I get into that space, my own pain dissipates.
Yeah.
And as a practitioner, you are called into that space to hold for that other person. So as a therapist, that same thing, you can pull on the new thought teaching. And somebody actually said that, I think it was Wayne that said that, about pulling on new thought. Because then you really become connected to that. Top up your cool with new thought. Yes. Exactly.
That's great.
Isn't that wonderful? Because at the end of the day, you have to be like, okay, what am I going through? And I tell people it's a story. And that's why I love that while you're going through the story, the problem is you don't know the story.
No, it feels very real. It doesn't feel like a story.
It doesn't feel like a story.
Because all these emotions are attached to it.
You're creating the story as you go. Because this story is going to be told later.
Yeah.
When you go backwards, you're going to be telling the story. So what story do you want to tell?
later on you're going to look back and what do you want your story to say?
Yeah.
That you can do that. You can
do
decide now.
that.
What you want. I want my story to say that I'm somebody that helps other people, that shines that light for them, that I exude love and light everywhere I go. That's my story. That's what I want. And so therefore,
everything you do is choosing that story.
and I've learned
You
to
are the
do
author.
that.
You
I've
are
learned to do that.
creating it as you go.
Well, you have this thought of creating it, and this thought of, oh, this is who I want to be, and positive affirmations, and all that's great, but you have to also do something. You have to make
You have
steps.
to make choices.
And those choices to
everything that you do, you make a choice from, is this the part of who I am?
Is this who I am?
For me, it's the love. When you make a self-care appointment, schedule it so it happens an hour or so after work. That way you're not rushing or feel stressed when you arrive at that appointment. And sometimes there are too many things in our plate. Do not space them out.
Yes.
Or do not space them out. That's so true.
It is.
That's
It's thank you, Bonnie. It's an awesome suggestion. You know, make it at a time that you're not going to be rushed. Or in this case, you're at work, so you're already out and about. You know, you don't have to go get dressed and go force yourself to get out of the house just for this appointment. You're already out, you're already doing it. And you make sure.
And it really helps with with people like me with the depression, because I gotta tell you, once I'm up and dressed and moving, I can get something done. But if I have to actually get up to do that appointment, it's harder. It's easier to just lay there and let it take you. But if there's something else like work, sometimes the driving force is I have to get up no matter what. I have to get up. And so you get up because of work. Without this, I will lose my home. And so the driving force to get up is greater than, lose my home. Lose my home is looming, so it forces you to get your butt up. But
this appointment, it can feel like not like
I have a choice.
Too much.
So I'm just gonna I'll do it next week.
And that's
how you end up canceling that appointment.
So that's great suggestion.
Today's not a good day.
Right, I'll just do it another day.
I'll do it a different day. Today's just a bad day. I don't think I can actually make it. And so we're like, well, is it really? It doesn't become like this emergent thing, like a wound on your arm that's open and gushing blood. It is an emergent thing. There is a alarm behind it. With mental illness, there's no alarm behind it to go to the therapist. And that's why it becomes this decision that has to be, there needs to be a driving force as to why you would keep that appointment, or why you would even make the appointment to begin with. And for me, that driving force, honestly, was that I didn't want to have a stroke. When I got back on medication, and for me, I call when my physical form was in need of Western medicine.
That's great.
That's how I put it. But when I had to get back on medication, I felt like, dang, all this work I had done to get off of antidepressants and to be able to naturally control it. And it wasn't working. But I was in nursing school. Very high, intense,
very
on you,
stressful.
Stress. Yes, you get it.
I was in nursing school. I was actually in nursing school when I changed my mind and switched to psychology, because I got to the clinical, that portion of nursing, and 80% of the class, maybe even 90% of the class, hated it. They're like, oh, I hate this, and they're horrible on the tests, and I don't understand it, and because it didn't have an exact answer the way the medical stuff does. Oh, it does, but it's a little more, hidden. So, and I loved every second of it. I was like, this is what I want to do. And I realized my motivation for becoming a nurse was, yes, part caregiver, and I wanted to help, but that wasn't my place, because I was looking more of like at the money aspect, what I was going to make, than was this what I really, really wanted to do. Yes, I would help people and I would love it. But so I dropped out halfway through the nursing school. I didn't drop out. I finished the semester, and then I started, and I quit the program and started getting a bachelor's in psychology at St. Leo. And then I went on to a master's in counseling at Webster University.
I'm telling you, girl, it is definitely, it's that listening to that inner voice that says, "Whoa, this is my dharma right here. This is where I need to go," and then navigating that way.
And that's
Taking your time, letting it take whatever time it's going to take. Just take baby steps, steps forward, a little bit here, a little bit here, until you end up at where you want to be. It's overwhelming when you first start because you're thinking, "Oh my God!" Like right now, we have your Phoenix is rising, and this business and this expression of how we come forward with our gifts and talents, me and my wife, through this company and through Life Lift, which is like a little baby company under Phoenix. I feel like, yes, I'm waiting for this big shebang thing to happen. And so I feel this pressure on me. And I'm so glad that Disney has started addressing that. Like Encanto, the movie. A little plug for that movie. I'm telling you,
it's a great movie.
y'all, it's so good to show what can happen when a person just shoves the mental illness aside and shoves the self-care aside to stand up for those who need me the most. And I have to be here because I'm the one with the gift.
It all falls on me.
Responsible because I'm the one with the gift. We have a right to choose our attitude. Absolutely.
Viktor Frankl, when you know his story, it's so moving.
And that's the part there that I'm so glad that we are lifting the veil and looking at it and saying, if we don't take care of all of the person, it is mind, body, and spirit. Never do work just for the money. Do what you love and the money will come.
Yes,
Absolutely.
That's part of that doing I was talking about. Because you get this feeling when you're on the right path. You get this feeling of things get easier. It's not such an uphill battle. Even when you still have struggles, it's like things click.
Yeah, but I'm gonna tell you, I wanted to be able to do what I love and the money comes. And unfortunately it's just not happening as quickly as I would love. Right? So I'm still stuck in the doing what I need to do in this modality, even though it doesn't serve me, in order to pay my bills, because this is what I need.
Because you're already there.
Because we're already here. We got a family, you got bills, you got sport, But if you don't have that outlet of the part that's the Donna that's being created and giving you a chance to expand, then you feel like, I'm just in this life, and that's when the mental illness, like, you snap, it's a rubber band just constantly being pulled. Yeah. But if you're still in the doingness, that is the stuff you have to kind of take care of, like your everyday, job.
Yeah.
I call it the grind, I mean, some people call it that. Or maybe I'm using the term wrong, I don't know. But for me, it's that everyday job that you have to copy, the 9 to 5, and the boss, and the coworkers, and and that's the part there that's like pulling on you, and pulling on you, and pulling on you, and you're not coming back. The rubber band is just pulling and pulling, and then you get home, and then the family, and the grandkids, and the child, and the mother-in-law, the whoever, and it's pulling and pulling and pulling. Eventually, it's going to break. No matter how pliable that band is, it's going to break. But if you come back from time to time and keep working that band, its ability to pull and do exactly what it needs to do will actually work. And it won't snap. I mean, sometimes you still, you know what I'm saying?
You have days.
You understand?
We all have days.
Yes, you have days where you're going to be like,
it's like you have to
strengthen.
strengthen the rubber bands.
You have to strengthen it.
It's like a muscle.
Yes, and you have to, oil it, and you have to take care of it in order to get it to pull to its maximum. And then beyond. But you still have to do that. Come back. Nobody has the weight on the weightlifter's shoulder the entire time. They got to put it down.
Right.
The band has to come back.
Right.
So I think that's what we're saying is that moments like this where you get to oil it a little bit about having this conversation with the therapist, because sometimes if you have somebody with that big fog light, they can go, oh wait, there's that hidden thing that you didn't see over here.
Right, they can see it from their perspective way more than you can, because we're so close to it. On top of it, can't be a smart cookie with a crummy attitude, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, having that it's like another set of eyes that looks at the whole picture, because, being that you're telling them the whole picture, mind you, that is very important. And, just saying from the therapist's point of view, I can't help you as much if you don't tell me what's actually going on, and you're holding back of especially important pieces of it, stuff that's killing you the most, that stuff you keep way back there that you don't want to talk about. If I don't at least know it exists, how can I help you learn how to deal with it? So if you do go to therapy, yes, take your time. You don't have to show up first session and just say everything that's ever bothered you in your entire life, but be willing to be open and honest about how you're feeling, and not, because otherwise and that's the case with anything. Be willing to be open to possibilities, open to new points of view,
open to trust.
What did Cindy say about something about how do you trust other people if you can't trust yourself? So have the trust in yourself that you know what's good for you, and follow that instinct when you hear it.
Because I know that that has come up before, where people have said, I've gone to therapy and did not have a great experience in the past, or didn't feel good about the person's energy or whatnot. So talk to different therapists. So
this is the thing. You'll know. I think you should know by the first session if you have, because it's a chemistry. Like any kind of relationship, it's a chemistry. If you don't feel like that person's listening to you on your first session, then what makes you think that they're going to listen? I'm just saying.
Correct.
And it's not because they might not be trying to, but they're just, that connection might not be there. So it's okay to say, I don't think this is working for me. Especially if you for Families First, where I work, you can call the person and my supervisor and say, hey, she's a really nice person, but she's just not for me. I don't feel like, we don't have enough in common. It's okay. It doesn't even matter what the reason is. I'm not going to take it personally, because I understand how important that therapeutic relationship is.
So if you had gone into, here's what I love. Thank you, Wayne. Shine your light, Christina. Absolutely.
Thank you. I do a lot.
Let's say you had never gone to therapy and you decided to become a therapist, and you have never, ever, ever been on the other side in that chair.
So this is the thing. And if a person is doing what they need to do through school, I wasn't given the option to not deal with my shit. I had to, because we had to practice on each other. We had to learn our skills by talking to each other, and we had to videotape ourselves having a therapy session with our friend, our classmate. And at first, the first part of it, couple of classes, they're like, it's okay, first little bit, maybe 6 months. It's okay to use a story, a made up thing, blah, blah, blah. But, they get to the point where they're like, look, no, you can't, we expect this to be the real stuff coming from you. Because how are you going to ask somebody else to sit in front of you and spill their guts when you have no idea what that feels like? So you have to go through that. You have to. Mm-hmm. Now, and I'm not saying that
first year practitioner, y'all.
Right. It's so much. So yeah, you have to go through that, and I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. It's okay.
It just came to me. I was like, oh my gosh. Yes, you do have to go through it.
Right.
So even if you've never experienced any kind of trauma or nothing like that, the therapist, before they become therapists,
they have to learn how to do that. And if they're not empathetic at all, there's a person at their college who their job is to make sure that they don't graduate, that will tell you. And I know somebody that this happened to. They were told, look, I know you want to be a therapist. I know it's in your heart. You need to do more work on you, because you are not, it's their job to make sure that you're not going out and damaging people, because that can, you can hurt somebody just as easily as an actual physical doctor could, because that mental, we all know how much that mental pain hurts. Yes. Sometimes it hurts worse than physical pain. Sometimes physical pain is easier to deal with. Right. So the people that have gotten through are more likely more than likely capable of doing what they're doing, but you might not have that connection. So it's okay to say, okay, call the company and say, look, I don't want to, I just don't feel it. Can I try somebody else? And if they're a good company, well, they're going to say yes, but they're going to ask you questions like, what are you looking for? What needs weren't met, that kind of thing. And they'll find somebody that's more suitable.
Thank you, Bonnie. Continue to encourage self-care. It is so vital now. I'm telling you, if I didn't have these tools in my life, oh my gosh. And especially after we did the whole COVID thing in 2020, where we did that just ascending upon New York, and there was some serious mental illness going on with us, the nurses, and those patients. The deal, the death, all of that stuff that was going on, that we were just expected to just roll through it because, hey,
it's your job.
Right. And thank goodness that the company that we worked with, they brought in mental health counselors to speak to us, because it was a very difficult time, because they understood how important this was. If we did not have that, and I had to go in. I had to go in for a session one day after work. Because if
everybody needs it sometimes.
And it was just one session, but I felt so much better to just get rid of it.
Just get it all out.
Because it was here in my mind and just rattling around in my brain, these thoughts and just to say it out loud to someone else.
That's another thing sorry not to backtrack, but another thing that symptom that you shouldn't ignore is that if that kind of feeling or the depression or everything is so bad that it's interrupting your sleep, your quality of work, the way you talk to your family, you're short-tempered, short fuse, you're snapping at your kids when they're just being kids, and you know it. You know you're doing it, but you can't seem to stop because your anxiety is just that high and everything is just so overwhelming. That's another sign. And unfortunately, it's a lot easier to get therapy now too.
Yeah, you can just Google it.
Yes,
Flame
you can.
on. Yes. Google it. Go into your search bar and Google therapists.
Oh, everything will pop
therapy.
up. And there's so much now that you can do online.
Talk
you
to
don't
your
have
doctor.
to do in person.
Talk to your doctor and say, hey, I'm going through this. But when you're going for your checkup, hey, I've been just really kind of sad lately, yada, yada, yada. Get the help. Call your insurance company.
Call your
Sometimes
insurance company.
Covered.
That's
Some stuff is covered by insurance.
That's always
nice.
That's a part of almost any insurance company is going to have some part. In fact, if they have nothing else, they'll have the thing that you have at work. Most big companies have.
Correct.
You'll see signs up. They'll be like, feeling depressed, feeling overwhelmed, and you can call and
do it, because I gotta tell you, I know that it feels like, oh man, I should be stronger, and if I just do a little bit more, I should be stronger. But no, don't do that to yourself. I'm highly creative. I can always redirect. Yes, you will always find another way to redirect, and so that you avoid facing the thing that is staring at you,
and eventually
the monster is getting bigger and bigger, and it will eat you.
It'll catch up to you. It will
eventually,
and it will start hurting your job, your family, your self-esteem. Don't mind. Google it. Ask friends. Ask friends that they can refer anything. Yes.
As the counselor and me as the nurse, we love. Well, I think that Joe's trying to tell us that our time here has come to a conclusion.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, girl, for coming in and joining me. And I really feel like we should talk again.
Yes.
Because this is different types of therapy. So
there's so many different things.
We should bring this back again.
Yes.
I love you guys. Take care of yourself. Blessings on your week.
Stay. Take care. Bye.
So Kathy, What's the experience been like so far here at the Transformation Vacation?
To say transformational is not quite big enough. It has been so amazing. The people have been amazing. The food, the beaches are exactly what you expect them to be. You can see through it. I went snorkeling and saw starfish and all kinds of beautiful fish. It's been amazing. And most importantly, everyone who said yes to this has just been inspirational and really just a connection has been made that will last a lifetime.
It will. It
Yes.
so will.
It will.
So I can't wait to see y'all next time. Come on to Jamaica, man. Don't forget, yeah, man.
Close my eyes, I open my heart, I'll take a deep breath, let the healing start. I lift my hands, I plant my feet, I let love in, I feel the beat that's calling us to rise, rise, spirit rise up, rise in me.